Well, here we go again. Welcome back, everybody, to BloodBorne. Woo! I know, this is a 2015 game. The DLC came back in 2016. Well, somewhere between 2015. Well, later in 2015. So we have 2016, 2017 is when Ariando came out, and 28 came, the Ring City. So now we need to kill everybody. I did this on my other account, and I was like, that was only in the basic starting gear. I'll be making animations soon, don't worry. Come on, everybody. I have everybody coming at me now. One at a time, you fiends. Once I get the DLC for this game, we're gonna have so much fun in the DLC. Our goal is to get to 90, over level 90 or 100 by the end of this game. I don't want to be here. He's dead. Better than him. Okay, shut up. No! Please don't shut us up! Ooh, after we can shut your mouth. Hey, look. whenever you get invaded, the bell ringer would be here. Next to Eileen.
Sorry drone. I'll strip you like a filthy beast you are. You shall not scoundrel. Were you not once a hunter?
A hunter. fun little fact, in 7 years I might be 20. Yeah, that is right. 13 plus 7 makes 20. So 7 more years, then I'll be 20. 8 more years, I'd be 21. And I wouldn't want to drink. I don't want to be an alcoholic.
Kids don't watch. Just don't really backstab those guys because, you know. Yeah. I don't even want to think about it. You know what? I should leave a troll message. Okay. Merry Christmas! Because I'm covered in green and red, even though it isn't Christmas.
You know what I did to level up? I went to a very high chalice dungeon that low levels can go to. But we need a holy chalice. We need to go to Old Yarnum. But oh my god, 56?
Hello. Very well.
Time to go fight Gascoigne. Gascoigne. Don't do vaping, kids. It sucks. Oh wait, I'm a kid. No, I'm not a kid, I'm a teenager. Oh Jesus Christ. Guess it's not meant for kids. Not meant for kiddies under 13. Only 13 or older. God fucking damn it. Yes, come into the middle, my friends. Just imagine if we killed Gascoigne on a sliver of health. Oh boy. Oh boy! Yay! Time to talk to people. Hello, last run. How are you doing today? The name's Sonic Animations. I'm currently streaming right now, so... I'm totally not smoking, I'm just coughing. So I'm not allowed to smoke. I get killed if I smoke. Phase. I don't know why it's Once I get an actual computer, let's play some Gmod. Once I get a computer, memes and all of like will witness Gmod. I'll try to make a little mini movie in it. You know, you can actually play BloodBorne without, you know, leveling up and whatnot. Let's listen to a little bit of DANGITJM's video of how to skip challenge dungeons and make builds fast.
Fortunately for you... What the hell is that? You know what it is, bitch. Look at that enlarged head. Who wears that? Alright, let's get to the chase. The bro. Compared to other games in the Souls series, BloodBorne takes much longer to finish a build proper. That includes 120 meta builds and everything in between. BloodBorne requires you to do 4 things before your build is complete. 1, play through the game, either to get weapons, armor, or hunter tools that your build requires, or to open up more areas for online activity. 2, spend potentially hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of blood echoes in order to level your build to the desired blood level of choice. 3, upgrade your weapon all along the way, though the upgrade materials gradually become more difficult to farm, especially the bloodstone chunks and blood rocks. And finally, 4, pray to RNGesus and hope you get better blood gems. And that 4th requirement is usually the biggest slog out of all of them. And it's a feature that's unique to BloodBorne. Even the fastest routes demanded that you go through about 8 or 9 chalices before you can begin to farm those top tier gems. Not to mention the fact that dungeons added anywhere above 20 extra bosses for you to comb through. And you needed to farm chalice materials from those same chalices in order to unlock the FRCs. That stands for the Fetid, Rotted, Cursed Chalices. These are the chalices with the best gems in the game. So with all of this busy work in mind, it is completely understandable why many might have stayed away from making full-fledged characters in BloodBorne. Every other game on the market has RNG these days. Destiny, Monster Hunter World, Overwatch. But BloodBorne had this extra filler before RNG ever even came into the equation. This made the whole experience a bit much, for lack of a better word. That is, until now. As I've stated before, in order to reach and farm the top tier blood gems in the FRC chalices, you needed all the chalices that preceded in order to enter. But starting now, you can cut down the amount of chalices you need and the bosses you have to kill by more than half, thanks to what's known as false depth story chalices. Now, for the vast majority of you, false depth chalices is a totally alien term. I'll keep it simple. These false depth story chalices were concocted by the user known as Trin. Players like Trin, Zuli the Witch, and a few others have found a way to go into the code of Bloodborne and edit the code of the Chalice dungeons. They've replaced the insides of what would normally be Depth 1 chalices with Depth 5 chalices. This means, quite literally, that you are able to go from the first Thumaru chalice to chalices like the Thumaru Hill, the Is, and the Lower Loran, just like that. You no longer need to go through the Central Chalice, or the Lower, or even the Defiled Chalice. You don't have to fight the Defiled Watchdog or Defiled Amygdala ever again. These bosses are now optional. So unless you're into S&M, in which case, I don't judge, I am too, the route to the FRC chalices have been immensely shortened. Remember, the goal here is to open the FRC chalices so you can pop open one of those spreadsheets online that have all the glyphs to get your desired blood gem of choice. While the RNG of getting those gems is another issue entirely, the filler that Bloodborne had before has pretty much been cut out. Here, let me show you. The chalice path is now as follows. Start a new game. Kill Gasoline. Kill the Bloodstar Beast and get the Thumaru chalice. At this point, you can begin dungeon diving. However, big warning here. If you're relatively new to the chalice dungeons and don't know what's in store for you, it is, of my personal opinion, that you ought to continue playing through the base game as normal and prepare yourself and your build for those deeper dungeons. Return once you leveled up to BL 70 at least. That's my recommendation. Once you have stronger blood gems, either from the Winter Lanterns of Murgos or from the Winter Lanterns of the Fishing Hamlet, which is in the Old Hunters DLC, and have at least 18% gems in all 3 of your weapons gem slots, then you'll be able to comfortably take on the deeper depths of the dungeons with more than decent damage. But again, going through the main game is entirely optional. You can just waltz into the dungeons as soon as you have access to them. Just don't expect it to be easy. Unless you're some kind of PvE god, or you summon over-leveled friends. The next step, obtain the Thumaru Root Chalice. You can get this by beating the Watchers on the second layer of the Thumaru Chalice. Once you get this root, you can immediately jump to the Lower Loran, or the Is, or even the Ill, thanks to the FD story chalices. For those daredevils who didn't already get the blood gems from the main game, you can stock up on blood gems now from other false depth chalices. The glyph XC284UGX.
Let's keep that page open, shall we? So now we have a chalice dungeon glyph we need to visit. It might be a fake. It might be a fake chalice, but still. It might work. Okay, we have one.
X is where you can begin farming for 21% physical attack up radials, which will definitely help your AR. There are 2 flaming sword dudes in the beginning of this chalice that drop them. With these gems, you can theoretically go toe-to-toe with the droplets you could get from the old Hunters DLC. However you prepare, the next step is getting the Root Chalice. Use the glyph ZWMN9Y.
We have another false death chalice dungeon. Thanks. We have another fake chalice dungeon. We have 2 dungeons to visit.
YZM to unlock your way into the false depth is. The goal here is to create an FRC is chalice. The biggest reason why we're creating the FRC is because its requirements are the least demanding out of all the FRCs. There are less materials needed than the Ill and the Lower Loran. As you're dungeon diving, do keep in mind you're fighting at depth 5 enemies and bosses now. Expect a moderate to strong amount of resistance and maybe quite a few deaths along the way. And don't forget about the bosses that are tough, regardless of your level. There's Eberitas in the Is, there's the Descendant and the Bloodletting Beast in the Ill, and then there's the Loran Yeah, let's just not talk about him. Persevere long enough, and once you beat Eberitas in the 3rd layer of the FD Is, you'll get the Root Chalice. Note, don't get rid of that FD Is you just went through, because now you need materials to make the FRC Is, which that previous chalice can't provide. Getting these FRC materials proves to be relatively straightforward. You can either collect them from the main game, if you chose that method, or from looting other chalices themselves, if you're in a hurry. First, there are 10 Ritual Blood 5s in the FD Is you just went through. There are 3 in the side area before you reach the Layer 1 boss door. There are 6 in the Layer 2 area, then 1 in the pre-boss area. At this point, you'll have 10. In theory, in order to get the final 3 Ritual Blood 5s, you can remake the FD Is and get your final 3 that way, or you can also acquire them organically from layers 1 and 2 of the FD Ill glyph. You can take care of 2 birds with 1 stone, seeing how every build needs radials, and you get radials from gem farms from the Ill Root Chalice. If you're going through the main game, there are also 3 of those Ritual Bloods located in the Upper Cathedral Ward, in the main room of the orphanage, after you kill the werewolves. But lastly, you can get the Ritual Blood by farming the Alien Loran glyph. C76P8SB.
I've cut with blood as the best husband alive. Which is where I must stop.
Now we have a Ritual Blood 5.
In the main room behind a ladder lies a hallway that leads into a side room where there's a chest that drops you 2 Ritual Blood 5s. Simply get them from the chest, delete the chalice, re-input the glyph, and repeat. But you can also get 4 Pearl Slugs from the 2nd layer of the FD Is chalice that you started with. There are 2 in a large staircase room on the upper floors of the 2nd layer, in the pre-boss side area. Wow, that's a mouthful. The other two are next to a large circular room on the mid-floors of that same layer. Then there's a room in the third layer of the FD chalice that has one lone brain sucker and several chests strewn about that room. You'll find enough red jelly, tomb mold 5,
Well, the next time you dream, give some thought.
and Sage's hair. Those two flaming sword dudes. They can not only drop physical gems, but yellow backbone as well. Conversely, if you're going through the main game, the one reborn drops 3 yellow backbone, and you can find 2 of them in a chest in the Nightmare of Mensis after you encounter the NPC known as Edgar, the scholar-looking dude with the Ludwig's Holy Blade and Rosmarinus. Finally, there are 2 Bastards of Loran in the second layer of the FD Lower Loran Chalice. That's ZQXWJ9G4. Across a bridge.
No, we missed the chalice. No.
In a side palaces, specifically the glyph I mentioned earlier with those 2 flaming sword dudes. They can not only drop physical gems, but yellow backbone as well. Conversely, if you're going through the main game, the one reborn drops 3 yellow backbone, and you can find 2 of them in a chest in the Nightmare of Mensis after you encounter the NPC known as Edgar, the scholar-looking dude with the Ludwig's Holy Blade and Rosmarinus. Finally, there are 2 Bastards of Loran in the second layer of the FD Lower Loran Chalice. That's XWJ9G4. Across a bridge in a side room filled with beasts, there's a chest holding them in the center of the room. Once you get those, you can delete the chalice and remake it in order to get 2 more. If you're already in New Game Plus though, you can buy Bastards with Insight from the Bath Messengers closest to the workshop doors in the Hunter's Dream. You can also get yellow backbone from NG Plus Messengers as well, by the way. However you get those materials, and I have no doubt that you have the Blood Echoes required as well at this point.
That's pretty good.
Bing bang boom, you have yourself your very own FRC Chalice. Now, you only need to make 1 FRC Chalice in order to have access to other FRC glyphs. But there's one caveat. You need the root chalice of said glyphs too. Let me explain. If you made an FRC Is, you don't need to make an FRC Ill or an FRC Lower Loran in order to use glyphs from those chalices. You do, however, need the Ill root chalice and the Lower Loran root chalice first. You can get the Ill root chalice from the Bloodletting Beast in the second layer of the FD Ill glyph. Likewise with the Lower Loran, either beat the Lower Loran Dark Beast in the third layer to get the Lower Loran root, or buy the Sinister Lower Loran root in the second layer via the Bath Messengers that you can find there.
Because the Lower Loran Dark Beast.
Don't worry about having to memorize all this. I'll have 2 links in the description to help y'all along. There'll be a link to a Google Doc detailing the same route I just talked about, and a link to the false depth glyph chart. Use them at your own discretion. And there you have it. Open up as many FRC glyphs to your heart's content and begin farming right away. Like I said before, you don't need to do the Central Chalice, or the Lower, or even the Defiled Chalice anymore. Technically, Platinum Trophy hunters do need to go into the Alien Loran in order to grab the Beast Claws, which there is a glyph for that, by the way. But for the vast majority of you, you don't necessarily need to beat a single boss in that chalice anymore. The chalice grind of Bloodborne has been nerfed, for the most part anyway. Even one of the tougher builds to get up and running, arcane builds, no longer have to take 30 to 40 hours of setup time to get right. For example, I streamed Bloodborne for 2 nights, took my time, leisurely went through the main game as well, and it took me 9 hours to get to the point where I could use a +10 Lost Ludwig's Holy Blade and have 3 gems outfitted with FRC gems. All on an arcane build. Not to mention that physical builds will be even easier to make, possibly taking anywhere between 7, 6, or even 5 hours, maybe even faster, if you're a PvE god, of course, or you summon over-leveled friends. I'd like to end this video by saying, bless Trin, bless Zuli the Witch, bless all the people that took their own time to make Bloodborne easier to play for the rest of us. They are beautiful people for having done this, and no amount of gratitude can really do them service. I hope these newfound shortcuts inspired a lot of you to give Bloodborne build making another try. To make a build that you've been wanting to make but probably didn't because you loathe going through the dungeons again. Believe me, I was right there with you as well. There's a lot to love in Bloodborne, and all of it seemingly got glossed over due to
LAG. UZA. I need to find him and say, hey, can you help me farm blood gems? Let's get in contact with this Lagzuna. Lagzania. Here we are. Let's farm some low-level gems, baby! Woohoo!
X, E, 2, 8. Or UGX.
That's a fake depth.
Welcome. What? Very well.
Let's see if this is a fake chalice dungeon. this place again? Why does it have to be this place? I remember going into this place as my high-level character. Oh my god, here we go again. Oh no! Now we have to do all that progress again. You can't even do damage, like good damage, to this person. Well, I'm getting off, guys. Goodbye.